The German Chancellor has opened the latest international donors meeting to help rebuild Ukraine. Olaf Scholz told the audience in Berlin, including President Zelensky, that Russia's imperialist war would fail and promised to support Ukraine until it lived in peace and security. Mr. Scholz told the conference that they needed to ramp up military aid to Ukraine.
What the Ukrainian army needs most urgently at the moment is ammunition and weapons, especially for air defense. And I would like to ask everyone here to support our initiative to strengthen Ukraine's air defense with everything possible. Ukrainians have proven themselves in 2 years of war. We are worthy. We can push the occupiers away and advance to victory. We can push the Russians away from our land. We have won back the Black Sea for Ukraine, and we have proven, thanks to modern air defense systems, we can destroy Russian missiles and drones.
The Ukrainian president there, Volodymyr Zelensky, and before him, the German Chancellor, Olaf Scholz. Well, for more on this, I'm joined now on the line from London by Arise European Affairs analyst, Dr. Marek Laskowicz. Dr. Laskowicz, thank you very much indeed for joining us. So strong words of support from the German Chancellor, Olaf Scholz, echoing that appeal for more to be done to give Ukraine the air defenses it needs. And this is coming at a fairly critical juncture in the war, isn't it?
Well, yes and no. The sad fact is that the German Chancellor, like Europe, is the second fiddle to America. And all he's really done is to simply echo America's sentiments. But it's America who's the driver of the war. It's American equipment which is crucial. And therefore, in that sense, this conference, although, of course, it's good for the media and looks good, in fact is second rate in terms of importance. Moreover, please note, he has said absolutely nothing new. The plan to rebuild Ukraine has been mooted for 2 years. The plan to drive out the Russians has been mooted. And in effect, nothing much has happened. So, alas, this conference is just simply another conference along the way.
Nevertheless, just looking at Germany, it's quite a remarkable journey for the country, isn't it? I mean, in its support for Ukraine. I mean, it's gone from traditionally being pacifist to now allowing Ukraine to use German weapons inside Russia. I mean, how complex a story has Germany's attitude in this war been?
There is, as you rightly point out, a change of Germany, but again, the real driver is the USA. Once the USA, for example, gave a green light, supplied the aid, and gave another green light, for example, just recently to actually bomb or missile Russia itself, Germany followed suit. Germany, in this respect, officially at least, has therefore been simply a, if you like, junior partner going forward. Where there is a difference, and this I think you're quite right, is the German public itself is no longer as pacifist as it was and has accepted all this. But again, I would rather ascribe that to what happens in Washington rather than anything else.
Well, I mean, let's then turn to that conference that you touched on briefly when you started giving us the benefit of your analysis, a mixture of different actors attending in Berlin. I mean, what kind of reconstruction is a priority, do you think? I mean, because I understand that tens of billions of dollars have already been earmarked.
Yes, there has already been funds earmarked for rebuilding Ukraine. They're talking primarily of the infrastructure and the housing. These, of course, these which have been bombed. But the real point about the funds and the rebuilding of Ukraine is that it has been going on for some time, all this business about refunding Ukraine, rebuilding Ukraine. It's simply one more conference along the way in that respect. Where there was a difference is it depends, are they going to seize Russian funds in order to do this? Which is a move which has been, of course, mooted, but in itself can be seen as yet one more provocation. And that is actually the most important aspect in political terms. But as for the funding and so on, it hasn't been around for months, if not longer.
And Dr. Laskovich, now that we have the benefit of having you here, unfortunately we couldn't have you yesterday. We had technical problems, but now that we've got you, we might as well milk every opportunity we've got for your analysis. And I know we were supposed to talk about those European Parliament elections yesterday, and that apparent rise of the far right, and of course in reaction Emmanuel Macron of France dissolving the French Parliament and calling for elections. I mean, did anyone see that decision coming?
No, no one saw it coming. The fact of the matter is, it's not clear why Macron decided to do that, because if he does like David Cameron, loses, then it will be very bad, because as it happens, Macron is one of Ukraine's key supporters in Europe. There are other nations which are far more half-hearted than France, and therefore, if Macron's got it wrong, there could be repercussions. Worse than that, the far right itself is, of course, a force which, one can put it like this, is divisive within the EU, and therefore means that any possibility the EU can act together as a huge body is lessened by these elections as well. The net effect is, I'm afraid, that both from the rise of the far right and Macron's decision, it has been a good time for Russia.
So a big risk then for Emmanuel Macron. And over in Germany, where this reconstruction conference is taking place, the far-right AfD party are also celebrating success. I mean, they look set to overtake Chancellor Scholz's Social Democrats. I mean, how much of a disaster is this for Chancellor Scholz?
Oh, for him personally, it is a huge disaster. The fact of the matter is the entire liberal democracy model is now being challenged by the far right. And with it, the notion of globalism, and also by the same token, supporting Ukraine. Please note, it is the current chancellor who wants to support Ukraine to the full, but it's by no means clear that the German public, like the public in other places, is all that keen to do so. Therefore, this result, again, like for France, could be very bad for Ukraine in the long term, and again, another good time for Russia.
And obviously in Italy as well, the governing far-right Brothers of Italy party, led by Giorgia Meloni, appearing to have more than doubled its seats in the European Parliament. So Ms. Meloni now effectively towering over Italian politics. But a lot of people might be thinking, Dr. Laskovich, whether all these are only European Parliament elections and that they won't necessarily be mirrored by national legislative elections. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I would disagree with that, which is why I think Macron's decision is bad. The European elections, although there's a smaller turnout, they do mirror what is going on. There has been a rise in the far right. There has been a rise in nationalism. And all these elections have done is to underline just how far this movement has gone, which is, therefore, the European elections, although per se, they are not about a power center, because the European Parliament is not all that powerful in any respect. They are an indicator of what is likely to take place on the national front. And therefore, as I say, it's quite possible the EU will be incapable of acting as a united body for some time. And secondly, it's by no means clear to be supporting Ukraine in this war.
And just to buttress the point you're making, that is probably one of the reasons why Emmanuel Macron of France is calling national parliamentary elections in his own country. Always very, very illuminating to talk with you. Dr. Marek Laskovich is Arise European Affairs analyst who was talking to me there on the line from London. Thank you very much indeed.